Is capitalism bad? A question that has eluded man since the 80s or so, when Ronald Reagan corrupted politics even more than it already was. Okay, well, Reagan just more made it open he was corrupt, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so is capitalism bad? And the answer is, sort of. I think we need to understand the idea of capitalism before we can understand whether or not it's good or bad. The idea of capitalism is simple. Someone gives you a good or service, and you give them goods or services or some sort of currency or something in return. This has existed for years, since the caveman existed with women. Yeah, the cavemen were misogynist, I know. And those were my ancestors, I know. Oh, yeah, the ancestors shaming, oh. But later this developed to land, food, and then eventually during the Renaissance it became money. Particularly gold coins at the time, but now we just associate it with a dollar bill. Now, why is this? And that's a long history lesson in general. But the answer is because people suck. I'm sorry, but people just suck, whether or not you like that. And thus, we need some sort of incentive to do stuff. If, say, communism were to work, that would be a perfect world. However, we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a crappy world. Sorry. But anyway, now, I know what some people are wondering. Well, Joe, you said communism was bad, but I thought you weren't independent because you didn't believe that any political party was good. So, explain that to me. Are you just going crazy now? You're a hipster, aren't you? Well, please stop being crazy for a couple seconds to allow me to explain. You see, I was thinking past few weeks about this. I've actually been wanting to make this video for a couple days now. And I came to the conclusion that what's wrong is not capitalism. It isn't the capitalist system that is bad. It is a socialist oligarchy like the US has become. There's a very good John Oliver video about the wealth gap. Not the gender wealth gap, I meant the amount of wealth distributed through jobs, which I highly recommend you check out. In fact, I recommend you check out John Oliver in general. He is quite possibly the greatest comedian on earth. And basically, most Americans' philosophy is, I know the system is rigged against me, and that's why it's going to be so awesome when I win this thing. Whoa! I can't do the voice. Woo! Woo! He even did a skit called America Ball, which is just so hilarious you have to check it out yourself. Now, then I realized that the socialist oligarchy is really the issue here. You see, people, an oligarchy is when all the control is in within a few amount of wealthy people. Sound familiar? I dare you to name one politician that isn't rich, or at least hasn't had some sort of, or at least isn't above the middle class. Yep, it's hard to. I dare you to. You barely can. Maybe you can think of a few. Like, I don't know, the guy who was the former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan who actually got on the presidential ballot once. I forget his name, it's David something. However, it's hard to, and that's because we are somewhat of an oligarchy. We're still a democratic oligarchy, but it's an oligarchy nonetheless. And that's where the issue is. It isn't capitalism, it's socialistic oligarchy. Why am I the only one who gets this? Anyway, that's it. I'm Ephrom Joe, and good night.